Hi, I'm Alex Zoghlin. I'm the president and CEO of ATPCO. Now, if you've done some Googling, you'll know that David Siegel is a true veteran in the industry. Came up through the ranks at Continental Airlines, has held the position of CEO at a number of airlines, including U.S. Airways from 2002 to 2004, XOJet, 2008 to 2010, and Frontier Airlines, 2012 to 2015. And Dave, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in there, you were also the CEO of Gate Gourmet and managed to shut down Heathrow, if my memory serves. So while you've grown up in the network carrier world, you're also the current chairman of 4 companies, including 2 low-cost carriers, as well as being a consultant to the largest private equity company in the world investing in the space. Which brings me to my first question in this segment we're calling, If You Had a Crystal Ball. So Dave, if you had a crystal ball, what do you think the airline industry will look like in 5 years? And whom do you think is best posed to take advantage of the future?
Well, Alex, I thought it was a great idea to kick off with the poll, and interesting to see that 25% of the respondents said that they're completely rethinking their business. The business is going to look very different in 5 years, and we're starting to see the changes already. And I see 3 big changes. The first is business model evolution, and the airlines today have to focus on completely rethinking their business models, and that's across all segments and all geographies. And if you look at the different players today and you look at what's happened to them over the past year, and now as traffic begins to rebound, at least the earlier signs of that return to normal. Airlines are now, they loaded up with debt. They've never had more leveraged balance sheets, and many of them are still burning cash. So they have to focus in the short term. They're going to be distracted by stabilizing and repairing their balance sheets. But to do that, they're going to have to completely rethink their business models. So if you look at network carriers, obviously the long-haul premium traffic has all but disappeared. Airlines are hoping that they're going to return to kind of 15-20% of normal this summer and then ramp up. But it's at least 2 or 3 years before long-haul premium traffic comes back. And the network carriers have been heavily reliant, arguably overly reliant on that. So they're going to have to completely rethink how they do business. And you look at the boom of private aviation. So the premium travelers are actually choosing to travel now. They're just doing it in different ways. And we're not really here to talk about the private aviation sector, but that's booming and it's being democratized. So that's going to steal away a lot of the premium traffic, both domestically and internationally. And if you look at carriers like Delta and Emirates, I think they've been the real leaders and innovators in trying to rethink the ways they're going to restore confidence with the travelers and begin to bring them back. So I think you need to look at carriers like that and see what they're doing. I also would note that Delta hiring the first chief health officer, Dr. Henry Ting out of Mayo Clinic, is a sign of an innovative approach to dealing with the new world. And the reality is, while we're starting to declare victory on a recovery here, we see the signs of it, people getting confidence with the vaccine. There are new variants every day. We may be declaring victory prematurely, but the new normal is these pandemics. And if you think back over the last 20 years, we've had SARS, MERS, H1N1, but now we truly understand what a pandemic can do to the industry. So the new business model, whatever sector you play in, whatever geography you play in, you have to be prepared for that new reality and be prepared for that next pandemic, because it's not a question of if, it's just a question of when. If you look at the low-cost space, that's clearly the space that's going to recover and has done better and will recover faster. Airlines like Sun Country and Allegiant demonstrated the agility of their business model. And if you look at their financial performance and their recovery, carriers like that are clearly going to win. Volotea in Europe had some amazing statistics last year, but the low-cost space is one that obviously will recover faster, but even the low-cost carriers have to dramatically change their business models. And it's the agile carriers, again, like an Allegiant or Sun Country here, that did well, and the market's rewarding them. But if you look at low-cost space in general, even though it's recovering faster, it was very hard hit as well. So everybody has to deal with this new reality. I'd also say that another major trend is going to be market consolidation. The strong will acquire the weak. The strong will get stronger. Damaged balance sheets and airlines with business models that have been less agile and less resilient, they're going to be consumed. But we've got to take out capacity in the industry, across all sectors. Consolidation is the efficient way to do that. That means marginal carriers, marginal focus cities, marginal hubs will get consolidated out. Now, the U.S. has been ahead of the rest of the world in that. I see a lot of consolidation in Europe in this wave. So you'll see that rationalization. You've seen failures, but this is an industry where if an airline fails, that vacuum is filled quickly, either with a new competitor or an incumbent, backfilling. So you see some innovation there. Here in the U.S., I'd expect carriers like Frontier and Spirit to finally merge. Now that Frontier is public, that's much more likely. And you see new entrants, again, in an interesting time, companies like Avelo and Breeze, with their new models with point-to-point service. So you're going to see consolidation. At the same time, you're going to see new business models emerge, trying to capture what they perceive as an opportunity, given the fact that existing models will either be, completely rethought, or they'll be replaced by either you reinvent yourself or someone will invent a business model to take the market away from you. And finally, I see, the disruption of the market via technology. And you always see that happen. But here, we're really on the cusp of some very fundamental changes that will profoundly impact the industry. One of those is data science, and airlines are getting a lot smarter commercially. And data science is, manifests itself on the pricing RM side, but it manifests itself in how you, run your business completely, and really understanding your customer in unique ways is a very powerful commercial tool. AI is being deployed both on the commercial side and the operational side. Using Volotea as an example, I know very well, they're really leading in areas of data science and AI. And they're using that power as a small airline, to be better than the bigger carriers. And that technology is accessible now to any airline. You don't have to be the biggest, you can be the smallest and take advantage of AI tools and data science. And in fact, the smaller carriers are being more innovative and agile. So that's going to be a significant strategic weapon for airlines as well. And then finally, I'd say on the technology side, and there's been a lot of hype and mania, I'm also chairman of a SPAC, aviation SPAC. So, you see electrification of the industry, and you see autonomous flight. Now, we're years away, so it's not really a 5-year question, though I will tell you that while there's a lot of open questions about how we'll manage airspace below 500 feet AGL and when we'll really solve for the battery storage and weight issue for electric flight, companies like Cessna on the manufacturer side, Surf Air Mobility run by Fred Reed, right? A great industry veteran, are doing some very innovative things there. And electrification will fundamentally change the cost structure of the industry once we figure it out and we have electric power plants. It's going to start short haul, and obviously it's what's fueling, bad pun maybe, but the growth of autonomous flight. But all of that is going to change the world. It's just a question of when. And 2-3 years ago, a lot of these companies really struggled to get funding. And I'd say, the market's gotten a little over exuberant here, and billions of dollars have poured in. But that capital coming in now is going to accelerate the pace of change, because these companies, didn't have access to capital 2-3 years ago. They really struggled to raise 5 and 10 and 15 million, and now they're raising hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. And just like the space industry got totally disrupted, in the past 5 years, our industry will as well.
Dave, I have to say, you did not disappoint. Thank you for that commentary. That was a wide range. And in fact, we are out of time. So I apologize. We're not even going to get to the next question. But if you could stick around, I'd appreciate it. If not, that's okay. But we are going to have a Q&A at the end. And I suspect, based on some things you've said, there might be some interesting questions. So thank you.
Thank you.
It's been fun. So I'm now going to be handing it off to Emma and Eduardo to learn more about how LATAM is sustainable approach to pricing management.